All right. Hey, this is Al McGee with YETicket.com. I'm here with three of the cast members for the movie Honesty Weekend. Wow,
Hello.
what a wild movie. Introduce yourself. Sabina, start off.
Hello, my name is Sabina, and I play the vivacious, complex character in the movie that I think you guys are all going to love very much.
All right.
Oh, her name's Delaney.
And then next, Evan.
Hey, how's it going? Evan Watkins. I play John, who's sort of the central of the central couple in the film who are deciding to be honest with each other, and that sort of infest the other people through the weekend. So it's I'm part to blame for the hijinks that happen.
And Dioni.
Hi, I'm Dioni, Michelle Collins, and I play Stella. And Stella's sort of the mama of the group. She wants to make everything better for everybody.
Yes, she does. And that's what I saw in your part. And also, well, you cooked a lot for the you all were there for a weekend at Evan's mother's house, whatever it is.
She's a chef.
Yeah, and you're a chef. Are you a real chef in real life?
No.
What? What? I'm gonna invite myself so you can cook me some good food.
I might be able to throw down some biscuits that my grandmother used to make. I just have to pull out the old recipe, but I don't usually. I had to learn, actually, our director, Leslie, had to teach me how to actually cut, how you do it in when you work in a restaurant.
Right.
And it's a skill that I have till today. I still use it.
Wow. And John, when I watch this film, and this film comes out very soon, I feel there's going to be a weekend where people are going to have, hey, we saw this movie, like the Ice Bucket Challenge. Let's have an Honesty Weekend challenge for all the married couples.
I think it's a good idea if you want to get rid of some friends, maybe. You know what? There's a couple people. We'll see what they can say. I mean, I think in general it's good to be honest, but I think that if you force it on people that aren't ready, they're probably going to bring up some pretty bad tensions, I would imagine.
Yeah. Well, why did you like this part? Why did you like your character, Mr. Goodson?
Well, I mean, I think that he's pretty relatable. I mean, when I watched the movie for the first time, I was like, man, I kind of come across as a jerk more than I want to be as a human. But I think that that's just the tension of a character who's a little stressed out, and obviously without any conflict, really, there's not a whole lot to watch in the film. But I like the character because he's trying. You know what I mean? He's motivated. He and his wife are motivated to improve their marriage and their lives, and who can't at least aspire to that? You know what I mean? So it was fun, and there's a lot of funny, little quirky, specific nuances that was in the writing that I thought would be fun to bring to life. So that was part of the appeal for me.
Yeah, and also John has a great relationship with his grade school friend Delaney, which is played by Sabina. Tell us about that one. Your part in that one, Sabina.
Well, I think for myself, I think she's pretty complex. And even for myself, Evan, when I was watching the movie, I was like, oh boy, but I don't know how likable she is. But I think there's a lot of parts that are really sweet to her when you actually can recognize that it's her own insecurities and it's her own hurt and it's her own pain that she just tries to get her ego and her heart and her confidence up through other people. So she's not really all that bad. She herself is just so hurting and lacking. So I really hope people can see the redeeming qualities to her, because when I first was watching, I was like, oh shit, don't do it again. Even though I knew what the outcome was. But I think she's just kind of a little bit sad and not all bad, but just hurt and just really looking for validity from people, and unfortunately kind of bounces from each person throughout the weekend to sort of help make her feel not so hurt or empty inside, I suppose.
Right. But also, I saw Delaney really did not have when she was growing up, really did not have a great support system, only from, your friends and their
Totally.
family and their moms and things like that. That's why I really felt for her, because no one really taught her. She really is still learning herself and how to, well, take these feelings that she have and trying to turn them into something positive.
Totally.
That's the way I saw.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, I think that she's a complex individual. So I think if you watch it on a surface level, you can see it kind of like in that way. Or then I think exactly if you're seeing it that she's just trying to just find guidance. And these are the people that have shown her guidance her whole life.
Yeah, exactly. And Dioni, you played Stella. Now Stella in here was trying to get her groove on. Tell us a little about your character, more about that a little bit.
Stella just really wants to connect with her husband, played by Adam Bartley, and he's not seeing her, and she just wants to have a relationship and move the family along, and he's not having it. And so, and it's about dealing with, what the relationship is like, and being honest. And, the weekend, it makes her, decide and think about, whether she's, supposed to be in this relationship or not.
Yeah, well, exactly. But she's happily married. I mean, she's very happy, except for a couple of things are missing in it that she feels would be much better. And
she loves him.
Yeah, she really loves her husband. She enjoys doing things with him. And Stella is a very fun person and also a sexy mama too.
Oh.
She really loves her husband.
Thank you for saying that.
That's one thing I loved about your character, Stella. And now, let me ask you all this. Now, there was a line in this film. It said that, well, you're happy if you're in a relationship. Can any one of y'all help me with this quote? Because there was a quote in the film. I forgot what character said that, but the character said, well, you're happy if you're in a relationship. Do y'all remember that line in the film? I forgot who said it because I didn't write it down on my note.
Maybe Pete. Yeah, maybe Pete's character said that.
Yeah, maybe he did.
Yeah.
But
did.
Well, let me ask you, Sabina. If you have a relationship, does that make you happier?
I think that the grass is always greener. So that's why I'm thinking that Pete's the character who said this. I believe that it's not striking me, but I think that that's why he said it, because I think the grass is always greener, right? Like not always, but I think, I think that what Pete, and what's Pete's character in the film? What's his character name?
God,
Pete's character?
So long.
His name is Nate.
Nate.
Nate, my guy. I like Nate a lot.
Yeah. Nate gets around.
I think that it's I think until this weekend, I think Nate sees us in all these relationships and stuff, but then he's this weekend. Is he the one that says it?
I didn't write it in my notes. I wrote down the line, but I didn't write who said it. I wish I would have done that.
Well, I think
it was. Right? Oh, go ahead, Evan.
To me, I mean, I think that if it was his character, because he sort of has this bravado, this exterior that's like, I'm a ladies' man, blah blah blah, but then actually we find out, through the movie, that he's harboring some very deep feelings for this one particular woman, and it's sort of unrequited, and he goes through all that. So I think that if you say the word relationship, I think you are happier if it's a true relationship where it's you really share equally, and you take each other's good parts and bad parts equally, but sometimes if it's one-sided, then it becomes a nightmare. And I think that's what people want, is a balance of like, you're going to hear me say all this crap. I'm going to hear you say all this crap. And we sort of have to accept it because nobody's perfect,
I mean, that's a great response.
Yeah, it sure is. It is. It really is. Now, John and Ada are having this honesty weekend, and then they brought their friends into it. Now, Stella, when they brought your character Stella into it, Dioni, Well, in the beginning, you were kind of reluctant, but then you started to think about it more and more. Uh, Tell us a little bit more about how Stella felt about that.
I think that, I mean, I think initially when they told us in the car, they tell us in the car, we're both thinking it's not gonna work. But I think it gets her to really take a closer look at her relationship with her husband. And she's brought in, and the things that happen through, Sabina showing up, her character showing up, sort of fuels a lot of our insecurities, and our desires and our needs and wants have to be confronted.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. For example, coming back to you, your character John, Evan, you told your wife, "Well, I wish you were a little bit more like Sabina. I wish you were a little bit, be a little bit more fun and things like that."
Yeah, yeah.
And
That I Go ahead.
go
No, go
ahead.
ahead.
No, you
Well,
were
I was gonna
basing
say
that on, well, you trying to be honest with her. You wanted to have a little bit more fun with your wife, Ada.
right. It's tricky territory because um Sabina's character in the film is sort of controlled by her id in a lot of ways. She's sort of like, oh, I'm just, whatever feels good in the moment, let's do it, and that can be very appealing for somebody who's been married to the same person for a while, they have a kid, and a lot of your life isn't necessarily about having fun the way it used to be, where it's like, oh, like we the only real time that we talk is about stressful situations like the baby and work and finances and all that stuff. So uh, you know, uh, obviously, if you're honest with somebody and then you use an example to show them what you want them to be like, and that person makes them very insecure, it's probably a bad idea. So I wouldn't advise you do what my character does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Spina, well, let's talk about real relationships. Do you feel that many couples suffer from that in real relationships, where, well, they're not honest with each other, or they want to see that partner be a little bit more something in their mind, maybe a little bit more fun, or tone it down, or to let it out? Do you feel that happens in many relationships, in real relationships?
I mean, I think what's really funny, Evan. You there's a line in the movie that actually, for the first time relates to me in real life, because there's a line where when she says to you, you're like, well, I want you to be more fun, right? And
Yeah, right.
she says, well, that was 2 mortgages and a child ago, or whatever, something like that, right? It's two
Right.
mortgages, and it's funny, like now dealing with, I have my first mortgage of my entire life. This is month 2 of having it. And,
Wow.
and it's funny, like that particular line, I'm like, it sits with me because it does feel like there's a different kind of stress and a different kind of added element to our relationship that we never had before. So I'm like, that particular line, I'm like, I'm not going to let the new stresses of life and children and mortgages like get to, altering the relationship. I mean, I think it's with everything. I think if you let it, then if you make a conscious choice to say, this isn't going to change us and children isn't going to change us, then I think that if you make a conscious choice and meet your partner halfway and you're communicative, then those types of stresses don't necessarily need to change. But yeah, it's funny. I've been thinking about that particular line specifically in the film. I'm like, ooh, this hits home right now.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. I mean, when I was watching this movie, and I was saying to myself, I said, this happens to many people in their real lives. And, I've been married a couple of times too, and it happened to me also. And I said, wow, are we really very honest in our real relationships in our life? Dioni, you want to add something to that? Are we really real in our relationships with our partner, or do we lie to that partner, or do we lie to ourselves?
I think a little bit of both. I mean, I think everyone says, like what Evan was saying earlier, that everyone wants you to be honest, but real honesty takes a lot of courage to listen to take, to give.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think everybody is. I think if it's done in a way that is respectful and not hurting, but that doesn't happen in relationships all the time, right? Then you can be honest and relationships can grow. But even then, if the person doesn't feel that they've got what they needed and they get angry or whatever, then not everyone's going to react the same way. So, but I think it's a tough question. Yeah.
Well, what about in your real life? I mean, you don't have to give me a whole lot of details, but in your relationships that you had, I don't know how many you've had, are you in one now? Are you the most honest in your relationships?
You know what? During COVID, yeah. Something happened with COVID, and I was like, yeah, I was very honest.
That's a good one. Trust me, that's a very good one. Now, Evan, let me ask you about working with Leslie Thomas, the director, the writer. Tell me your experience with her as you worked with her on this film, Honesty Weekend.
She was amazing. I was very encouraged because I've worked with some directors before who don't really work with the actors very much, and sometimes don't even tell you that they're directing you. They're like, "Okay, go," and we're like, "What's the scene? What are we doing?" So it was nice to have somebody that had written a really great script that you could identify with, and that was very specific and talked about human things. And when we all assembled and read through some scenes and did a little bit of rehearsing, and then talked about what we're going to shoot for the day, she was very open to all of us collaborating and making things work, and finding things in the moment. I've never worked with Robert Altman, but I don't want to throw that name around loosely, but the sort of vibe that she put off on set was a lot more like a Robert Altman film, from what I've heard.
Oh, really?
Which was like, a little more open to everybody contributing, and it's not going to be horrifically stressful, and we got to get the shots we need to get, and things matter. But at the same time, it's like, we're making a movie. It should be fun, especially for a film where it's about a group of friends getting together who are attempting to have a fun weekend together. You want to go into that situation as an actor excited to show up, because your character should be excited to show up. So
right.
It was really great to have such a warm environment that she provided, which I think is a major part of the director's job, is to just set the tone for the set or location.
And Sabina, did you have to audition for Leslie, or you already knew her? Tell us, how did you get this part through Leslie?
I don't think I ended up auditioning for this. I think my man, I hope I'm not totally wrong on this. I believe I sent my reel over to her. I believe I sent my reel and something that was really appropriate for, we have our different reels of our theatrical stuff and our comedy. And I believe I sent over my reel for this, and my agent pitched me for it. And I really was excited about having the opportunity to work with a female director. And I remember we were shooting close to Thanksgiving, so I had to make a real choice. Like, I missed out on a lot of family time Thanksgiving week, and I was like, this is super important that I do this, and I really wanted to be a part of the film. I was super excited about the script and everyone, the great cast that was associated with it, and I was like, this is a no-brainer. I really want to do this. This was like a really exciting project to be a part of. But I believe it was I believe I didn't self-tape. I believe I just sent my reel specific for this role.
Well, what attracted you to your character?
I think there's a lot.
Did you see yourself?
Yeah, I guess I could see
in
myself.
that character.
Yeah, I think I could see a little bit of myself. I think every time as an actor, when you approach a role, everyone has their own way of approaching their roles. But for myself, I try to relate it to personal experiences and who this person is, and have I been in this place at some point in life, and I certainly had been. In really lost places in life. That quote is very true, that hurt people hurt. And so I feel like there was a part of me that I remember at my saddest, deepest, painful points in lives, that I didn't put my best foot forward, and I hurt a lot of people that I loved. But so I felt like there was this part of me that really related to her. Because of that, I think that she was, a good girl, just a little bit lost and trying to find her way. I felt like there's definitely a point in my life where I had been there.
Right.
Maybe still is sometimes, I feel like we're all kind of navigating our way in life, trying to do our best. And, put our best foot forward and just not hurt people along the way and love people and just be a good human.
Yeah, exactly. And Dioni, as your character Stella, now when you how did you get the part? How, did Leslie
I
reach out to you? You sent your reel in. How did you get this part? And again, how do you felt that you related to this part? Because remember, you can't cook.
a little.
I know. I'm just joking.
I know you are. I did audition. I sent in a self tape, and then my agent called and said, you got the part. And I remember going to having breakfast with Leslie and talking about the script and what it entailed, and what drew me to the character was that even though I'm not a cook, and I was, I love babies. I love them. I love the babies. I love the little ones. So I could, and I have a niece and a nephew. So, and I was there for my nephew's birth.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, my sister-in-law had an in-home birth, and it was an amazing experience. Like, I remember living in New York and going to an audition, and everyone's like, you're glowing. I said, because I just witnessed my nephew being born. It was amazing, So I really love babies. So I connected that way with wanting to be a mother, and and yeah, that heart that she had, I connected that way.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I think you had a line in there too. When you have kids, it makes you grow up, or things like that. I think Ella said something like that too in the film. Somebody did. Again, I had a right to know who said that. But Stella really wanted to have that baby, to make her feel fulfilled.
Yeah, and she wants to do it with Harry, right? I keep calling him Adam. Adam is the real name of the actor.
Harry.
She wanted to see, her dream was to, her dream is to be successful. She already is as a chef, and she wants a family, and she wants to do it with her husband, who she desperately loves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. And Evan, going back to John, your character, you made a statement as the character about how your wife is there for you always if you're sick and things like that. And when did John realize that? There was a scene in there when he did some things. I don't want to get that away, but John realized, hey, my wife is going to be there for me when I'm sick and things like that. How did you feel about that part of the scene? And also, and how can you, as Evan, relate to that also?
Well, I mean, I guess every person probably, has this thought of like, confronted with the prospect of infidelity, you're thinking like, how stupid would it be for me to throw away a relationship that I've built for years, or however long it may be, on a frivolous, I guess,
lay in the hay, something like that.
Lustful thing, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that sort of, I think everybody thinks about that when you get into a long relationship, like, how will I handle that scenario? Because it may not ever come up, and if it doesn't, great. But if it does, I think you have to be prepared to like dig deep and know what you're going to do. And I think the more you're sure about the other person, and the more you love them, and the better your relationship is, obviously the easier that it is to answer that question. Me personally, I mean, I've experienced, not from myself, but I've experienced infidelity in sort of other family settings, and I can see how it affects people, and how it sort of warps your perception and your trust of others like that. So for me growing up, I didn't have a ton of very long relationships, because I felt like, if this isn't really the one I'm gonna be with forever, then I'm not gonna waste their time or my time.
Right.
And because I felt like I did want to honor that. I wouldn't be the kind of person that could handle an open relationship. I'm just not groovy enough.
Yeah, well, good to be honest
So,
with yourself about that. And
exactly.
To any one of y'all, what do you want people to take away from this film when they see this film? Anyone, go ahead. If you got a quick answer, go ahead. What do you want the audience to take away from this film?
I think what makes this film so special is that you learn a little lesson from every single character and couple. Like you take away, like there's so many little moments from every couple that you're like, oh, that's something to think about. Oh, you know what? That makes me want to be a better human. Oh, wait, that's true. I've thought about that before. So I think there's every couple and relationship, even with the guys' dynamic and with the women's dynamic together and the couples. Like I think there's just a little something for everyone. And I've having read this script and knowing it forward and backwards, I think watching it, I can't even tell you how often there's moments from the film that resonate with me in my daily life. I'm like, oh, this is actually so dead on and true. Leslie really knew what she was talking about when she wrote this script. Like these are real life things. So I think it's very relatable. That's what I would say.
Dioni, you got anything to say about that?
I know that my brother, who's been married for several years, he thought the movie was funny, and it like what Sabina said, it really resonated with him, being married and having a long relationship, and having 2 kids and dealing with it during COVID and all that stuff. And they have my brother and sister-in-law have a very strong relationship, and
so he took something away from the film.
Oh, absolutely. He said, please tell the director I love the movie. It was funny and it really made me think, and we resonated with it. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you very much. Hey, well, time to run out for me. I want to thank everyone for coming and taking time with me on weekend at yeticket.com, and much more success to you in the future. And I'm going to put this out and help promote this film so people can see it.
Albert, and thank you so much for a great interview and just really you put a lot of love and effort into this as well, and that is very appreciated on our end. So we appreciate that.
Oh, thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great life and have a good day. Please stay safe.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.